Okay, Clubby's asked, what about capital gains when it comes to self-managed super funds?
Yeah, I mean, this is the best part of super, right? So if you buy a property and you sell it whilst the fund is still in the accumulation phase, or you're working, if you've held the property or any asset, that doesn't have to be property, it could be shares, property. If you hold it for longer than 12 months, then you get a 30% capital gains tax discount. So bearing in mind the tax rate is 15%. It's capped. It'll never go higher. So if you hold the property for longer than 12 months, that 15% rate goes down to 10%. So, and obviously you get to deduct off, your stamp duty and solicitor's fees. So you pay, a fair bit less. The other one is if you just wait till you retire to sell the property, then legally you pay $0 tax, which is the best hack that anyone in this country can use for any asset in any structure.
Yeah, amazing. I'll tell you what, this has just been such an interesting conversation for me as well, to dig deeper into exactly what can be done in this. So, guys, if you're just watching right now, this is Matt from WT Capital. Thank you so much for the galaxy, much appreciated. Thanks for the likes, the shares, whatever. Make sure that you're following both of us and go up to my stand store and grab the free ebook so you can get in contact with this guy so he can help you to make some good financial decisions. Okay. Property is where it's at. That's 100% correct, Guy. 1,000,000%. Safe as houses, so they say. If you've got any questions, drop them down in the chat as well. I'll just keep going through. What are the key risks FIFO workers should be aware of when investing their super into property, and how can they mitigate them?
Yeah, look, I think that'd be risks that would apply to everyone. It's not necessarily FIFO, and I think whether you're buying an investment property, whether it's in your super fund or outside of the super fund, I mean, the same. Yeah, you'd want to have this asking yourself the same questions. I think one of the biggest risks, purely because it's really the only thing you can't control. I mean, tenants are humans. You can't control humans. So I mean that's a risk. I mean, there are very easy ways of safeguarding. For us, when we're buying a client property, we'll always ensure that prior to settlement we have a building, contents, and landlord's insurance policy in place. So virtually, no matter what happens, house burns down, house gets vandalized, tenants move out, whatever it is, you're fully covered. So you're not going to lose money. So look, there are always risks, but there are ways of mitigating them. And if you do something every single day for years and years and years, and you figure out what to do, how to do it, I think the other one that we've seen probably over the past few years more than anything else has been interest rate. Thinking about how many people went and bought houses and they were paying 2%, all of a sudden they're paying 6.5%. Some of them had to sell. So the interest rate risk is I suppose a big one, in that it's a variable that no one can control. I suppose if we look at the sort of global credit market at the moment, the reality is, the next cycle rates are going down. I think there's really no one that's arguing with that. So yeah, the cost of credit will obviously drop, so our repayments will drop. So that's probably not as big a risk as it was maybe 4 years ago. Yeah. Any other risks? I suppose, buying in really isolated locations, that have maybe economies that are just based on one industry. And again, this is sort of, hand in hand with some of I mean, Moranbah is a good example in Queensland, was, it's a smaller economy, regional Queensland, and has a housing market that was really just propped up on one industry. So boil it down, economic activity is what drives house price and rental price growth. So I think we want to look at an area where there's a wide variety in industries that are contributing to that growth, as opposed to just one. Because if one, if it drops out or there's employment ceases, then the property market follows. So that would probably be another risk, and that's more of just a location thing and understanding, what kind of industries are prevalent in a market and what's driving it.
Yeah, okay, cool. Actually, that triggers another question that I've got. What about buying in the mining towns? Is that, would you say that's highly risky, or it's actually just depends on when you get in it and out?
Yeah, look, I mean, you can definitely do it. I mean, it does require more timing. I mean, it's probably not a strategy. And again, when we say mining town, I suppose, some people class Perth as a mining town, which is not anymore. It's a global city now. So, but I think, if you look at those ultra regional ones, and some of those areas had wild growth. I think it probably introduces more risk than you need to entertain. There are so many locations that are, awesome and completely diversified. I think you don't, unless you really want to, I think it's a risk you probably don't have to take.
Yeah. All right, cool. And this is mainly from my interest. What areas do you think in WA are going to be like really good property hotspots?
I mean, if you look at, I mean, just the last 2 years alone, you could almost throw a dart at a map of Perth, and
Yeah.
everything has gone up drastically. We were buying a lot of property that we thought was awesome value. I mean, like Wellard, Baldivis, Rockingham, those areas there that have done, incredibly well. Up north, I mean, you look at like Butler, Alkimos, Jindalee, Two Rocks, those areas have done really well. I think the new train link that's opened up there. Transport is always a catalyst for growth when things become more accessible, people can get in and out, they get to work, and it's cheaper. That's always going to be a catalyst for property price growth. So, looking at broader WA, I think some of the other, Bunbury that's been a market that's done really well, particularly over the last 18 months. Another market we've done a fair bit in is Geraldton, which is obviously not a smaller city. But that's particularly strong. We've had some fantastic results for clients, who've purchased in Geraldton as well. So I think there's still some value in WA. It's just knowing where to look. And again, value is subjective too, and it's relative to every property. We find a property that is being sold as a mortgagee repossession, we can buy it for 100 grand less than what it would otherwise sell for. Right. Even if it's at the top of the market, it still represents 100 grand gain relative to valuation. So it's just about, I think, having a pragmatic sort of view of every property you look at and understanding, how to ascertain value. Just not rocket science, just doing it every single day.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, thanks for joining. We're talking about how you can utilize your own create a self-managed super fund and buy property and retire like rich. I'm Alana from Win Win, by the way. Follow Matt and follow myself for more content to help get you more money. And also, there's a free ebook up in my stand store. Go up there, download it right now, and that's the best way of how you can get in contact with these guys as well. Thanks for the likes and shares, by the way, guys. Much appreciated. All right, Matt, it's we've gone on 11:08 here, so are we still good for time? I just thought I'd keep checking in.
Yeah, I'll give you another 10, and then I've got to hustle some agents. So
no worries. Thanks so much, guys. If you've got any questions on how to do this, drop them in the questions section or in the comment section below. Okay, tell me what happens. What's the process, right? So let's say. What happens to the property in the self-managed super fund when a FIFO worker, or anyone, should I say, reaches retirement age or decides to wind up their self-managed super fund?
Yeah, awesome question. So lots of sort of components to the answer there. So I think the beauty of we've got our in-house financial planning division. So we'd set up a call prior to actually doing anything. And again, every single client meets with our planner every single year, every 12 months, sit down meeting. We figure out, are you on track? What do we need to do? Are your goals still the same as they were 12 months ago? If a client's like, in 2 years, I want to retire, then we'll map out a strategy around that. And they'd be like, okay, well, what are the assets we've got in the fund? How do we minimize, any tax? Ideally, we want to pay no tax, legally, of course, but what do we need to do to ensure we minimize our tax to, where possible, zero? How much you need to live off? And then what we do, there's a process where you switch the fund from what they call the accumulation phase into the pension phase. So just be mapping that out. So there is some considerations there to make. We've got assets there. We need to sell them. We need to make sure we're selling them, preferably paying zero tax or very little tax. And then just, switching it into maybe a different product, or it might be cash or whatever it is, if it's a pension-based product. Again, we've got our own Australian Financial Services license. We've got our in-house planner. So we'd sit down, we map that out every single step of the way, many years before you even do it, rather than most people who are like, oh, yeah, I'll retire and then I'll figure it out after I retire, which is the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Great answer, by the way. Okay, so tell me as well, what's the criteria, just really simplistically, what's the criteria to actually create one of these self-managed super funds?
Again, to just set up the fund, anyone can do it. If we want to set up the fund and buy property, look, generally speaking, we've got minimum 150K, single or combined income of at least, 110K, 100K, 110K. Then we can work with that. That'll give you the ability to look at, good quality properties in good areas, and not limit yourself to looking at something that's, really cheap, really run down.
Yeah. All right. And what about credit history or anything like that? Does that take?
Yeah. Definitely impacts which lenders we can go to. The beauty of the SMSF space is all the lenders, what they call non-conforming lenders. So they're not like your NAB, Westpac, CBA. They're all different lenders that are sort of specific in the commercial space. So a lot of them have far better credit policies. So even if someone has missed payments or they've got a default, we've done this countless times where we've fixed up defaults or Clients have, commonly people change. They've got a gas bill or an electricity bill or something they forget, get sent to the wrong address, they don't pay it. It defaults, goes on their credit file. So we commonly have to fix that up. We've got really awesome guys who work with to fix credit files if we need to do that prior. But look, as long as they're not bankrupt, and even if they have been bankrupt, as long as they're discharged, then we can work with the brokers to get the loan over the line. It's just having a really clear picture of where they're at, so we know what we need to do first prior to submitting anything. So lots of information on the front end means we can help them make better quality decisions on the back end.
Amazing. And what's the quickest turnaround that you could go from somebody initially just coming to you and saying, hey, like I want to set this up, let's go, to then actually purchasing their first property in their fund?
Yeah, good question. So a couple of different variables there. Main one's probably the ATO and the other super funds. So believe it or not, big super funds hate giving your money back to you. So they'll make it as difficult as possible. So that'll be depending on how quickly they roll over the super into the fund. And then the other one is when we actually set up the self-managed super fund, we have to send an ABN application off to the ATO. So the ATO is the body that governs everything in the super environment. Well, in the self-managed super environment, big super, it's APRA. So depending on how fast or how slow the ATO are issuing the fund ABN, and we can set up the bank account, and then we can send off the rollover form. But look, generally speaking, that whole process probably takes about 3 weeks on average. It can be a lot faster, but let's say, it takes 2.5, 3 weeks. We've got our money in our account. We've got our pre-approval in place. At that point, you'd be working with one of us immediately on potential deals. So let's say within the first couple of deals, we submit an offer, the offer's accepted. So that'll be probably 3 weeks you're buying a property, and then, depending on the state, will depend on the settlement time frame, but call it, 42 days, 35 days, 42 days settlement. In 2 months, you'll go from having no property to one property to sometimes we've got clients that are buying 2, 3 at the same time to 2 or 3 properties. So
amazing. That'll be me very shortly. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Our time is pretty much run out. I will let you go now. Guys, if you're watching this, thanks for watching. Make sure that you follow WT Capital. This is Matt here. He's going to make you a lot of money. And also follow myself. There is a free ebook on how you can, get in contact with these guys, and also go up and work out whether this is right for you, especially over the Christmas period. If you're on site right now, go and download that ebook, a little bit of light reading for you, how you can make a shit ton of cash. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really, really appreciate it. It's been awesome chatting with you, Matt. And no doubt I will chat to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Alana. I really appreciate your time as well.
Anytime. And this will be posted on our YouTube channel as well. Guys, if you're not following the YouTube channel, go and follow it. There's a link in my standstill. Okay, thanks, Matt. I'll let you go. Have an awesome day. Bye, Shane. See you guys.